Here's what's happening on Daily Architecture News. When Japanese architect Kiyoki Takeda happened upon an article in a 2020 edition of the Nature Science journal, little did he realise the impact it would have on his Tokyo-based practice. The publication highlighted how the mass of human-made artefacts has begun to surpass all global living biomass. As an architect who contributes to this alarming trend, Takeda set himself a personal challenge. He was driven to design a home in Tokyo for humans that could also support an ecosystem of plants, insects, and wildlife. Tsuruoka House is the result of his pursuits. It's a place that offsets his impact on the natural environment and establishes a blueprint for future residences. Named after the street it occupies, the Saint-André Hotel in Paris lies directly in the beating heart of the city. Once the favoured haunt of brooding artists and musicians, especially during the swinging 60s, the completely rejuvenated hotel is now ready and awaiting a new generation of movers and shakers. Stepping off the street and passing through the hotel's original solid oak entrance doors, guests arrive in a small lobby area, seemingly preserved through time. But an emerald-coloured lacquered rattan reception desk offers a glimpse of what's to come. A daring arrangement of 1960s and 70s inspired furniture and fittings, sourced, imagined and designed especially for the hotel by designer Chloe Negra. In early September, visitors who strolled down the laneway leading to the historic tobacco factory of La Rioja in Spain were confronted by a new experience, albeit one that played on notions of familiarity. Overlooked by the factory's imposing red brick chimney, the narrow space that trails between two buildings was filled with a procession of small corridors and rooms that mimicked the volumes of a typical house. Set within a grid of 3.6 metres squares, the rooms were traced out by domestic scaled walls, put together with interlocking terracotta-coloured bricks that appeared to glow in the warm autumn sun. Given the name types of spaces, the temporary exhibit was created by two design offices, Palma from Mexico and Madrid-based Hangar, for the duration of Concéntrico, the international architecture and design festival of Logroño. In the south of France, Cinema Le Grand Palais is a new addition to the historic village of Cahors. Located to the north of the township centre, just a few steps away from the banks of the magnificent Lot River, the cinema complex joins a precinct with a storied past. An ensemble of buildings that were originally used as a convent, then later employed as a military base. To properly restore the scale of this ensemble, where the new cinema filled a long overlooked void, the group of spaces was treated with great simplicity. With a coherent choice of materials, furniture and plantations, says the team from Antonia Verger Architects, who looked to the existing buildings and their surrounds for inspiration. In particular, a commonality that was shared between each of the structures on site. Not in 4,500 years has there been an exhibition of contemporary art at the Giza pyramids in Egypt. Breaking this nearly 5 millennia long drought, the Forever Is Now exhibition opened to the public in late October. Presented among the towering structures and the surrounding sand dunes of the Giza Plateau, the showcase delivers a series of large-scale artworks that each respond to the pyramids, the last remaining artefacts to be considered among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. In the year 2030, an entirely new city could rise from a patch of yet-to-be-named territory in North America. Probably somewhere parched, flat and mostly uninhabited. Think Utah, Nevada or Texas. It's a place where 5 million people could live by 2050 that would prioritise technology, inclusion, equality and human potential. Going by the name of Telosa, this metropolis might sound like something from a science fiction movie. But for American entrepreneur Mark Law and the Danish architects at Big, it's a very near reality. In preliminary illustrations of the city, nearly everything appears solar-powered, autonomous and zippy. The project is expected to break ground this side of the next decade and welcome scores of residents soon after. You can catch up on all of these stories and more online now at dailyarchitecturenews.com.